Greetings, DCS. I hope everyone's New Year's is off to a great start. As promised, and continuing our commitment to employee engagement and being transparent, we wanted to do another video outlining our budget and the status and where we are. As you know, the legislative session is now underway. Our budget plan, if you'll recall, was formally submitted to the governor. It was, in fact, approved by the governor and has now been presented to the General Assembly. And that's what we're in the midst of right now. And that's part of the reason we wanted to go ahead and update you on the current status of the budget. It's a positive step that the governor approved our plan. It helps us to go ahead and move and start to operationalize it. Of course, the legislature still has their work to do. We did present to the joint appropriations, and I believe that video clip was sent out. Our next step is going to our separate committee meetings to actually get into the details of the budget and be a little bit more finite with it. I wanted to, at this time, turn it over to our Assistant Commissioner Scott Maurer to go through some of the details of our budget. But before I do that, I wanted to personally thank Scott for his leadership, not just from an agency perspective, but especially during these difficult times and challenges with the budget. You've got to have somebody that's going to keep everything in line and keep everything in sync. And I can't think of a better person than Scott, who has done that and continues to do that. So, Scott, I'll turn it up to you, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to, like Michael said, I'm going to talk specifically about some of the current budget initiatives and where we are with the budget process. And as some of you may be aware already, through our previous budget presentations, there's really three areas that we're focusing on when it comes to our budget and specifically our reductions, and that's operational efficiencies, strategic workforce management, and evidence-based decision making. So specifically around operational efficiencies, what we're mainly talking about when we talk about operational efficiencies are our office closures. And we recently met with all the district directors and chiefs that are impacted by the office closures, and gave them an opportunity to share with each other kind of what their pain spots are, where their struggles are, what things work, what things haven't worked. And included in that group are also people that have been through office closures before, either with parole or with DCS. And so it was a great meeting where people were able to share ideas, concerns. And the other thing that came out of that meeting is kind of an operational plan for not just the agency, but central office to be able to assist those offices with their closures where they're having areas that they needed some assistance from either budget or finance, and working through those processes. So we feel good about the office closures going forward. One of the things that we wanted to make sure that we made clear to all the offices that are closing is the opportunity for them when they're engaging their stakeholders, or they get questions from their stakeholders, to have a clear and concise message from the agency about what exactly office closures mean, what it looks like in their area, and specifically to ensure any stakeholders that there's not going to be any interruption or lessening of the quality of service that we provide to those areas. So that's one thing that, going forward, we want to continue to make sure that we have maintain a consistent message on the office closures going forward. So, and then the other thing that briefly about office closures is that we've been through this before. This is not the first time that we've had to close offices. And in those areas where we have closed offices, we end up better as a result. So while it's difficult to go through office closures, and there's certainly some challenges, at the end of the day, we'll be more efficient and effective as a result. So since August, we've reduced our overall leave payout liability by $1.3 million, which is a 66% reduction. And what that does is, at the end of the day, that gives us the ability to utilize those funds to fill vacant positions. And so we're very proud of the progress we've made as it results to leave liability expenses. Also, when we talk about office supplies, we've fundamentally shifted the way that we approach the procurement process with our office supplies. We've done it with both your patience and feedback, and we appreciate that. But at the end of the day, year to date, we've reduced our office expenses by 41.3%. So another significant savings in when we talk specifically about strategic workforce management. And then the last thing under that area is that we've also reduced quite a bit of travel. Our goal at the end of the year is to reduce travel by 50%. Right now, we're tracking at about 40%. It's a little bit lower than our target, but we also realize that a lot of that travel is related to professional development of staff, and professional development of staff is always a priority. And so, if we need to find other areas that are non-essential to make some of those reductions, we'll certainly do that, because we know that training and professional development is extremely important. But we are very proud of the fact that we have reduced travel by 40% in just 6 months. So the next area of discussion in concerns of the budget is evidence-based decision making. And in regards to that, we continue to find strategic ways to accomplish our mission that will enable us to continue to be a leader in community supervision in the field. We also continue to renegotiate contracts where we can, where we recognize potential savings with contracts where feasible, and we leveraging the best value to the state and utilizing technology to make us more efficient and effective. And then the last thing that I want to add before turning it back over to Michael is, if you've paid attention or seen any of the budget recommendations from the governor's office, there is a recommendation within those for a $1,000 increase for any employee that's making less than $40,000 a year. That was actually new to us when the governor's budget recommendations came out, and so the details of what that looks like and how it applies is still going to be worked out through the legislative process. But I know that many of you track the budget and pay attention to the budget, and so that's something that we weren't expecting to be part of the budget recommendations from the governor's office, but certainly are for all state agencies. And we will continue to keep you updated as that legislation moves through the process. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mike.
Thank you, Scott. I certainly appreciate the update, and I appreciate everybody on Team DCS for what they're doing and their willingness. We recognize it's not easy. Central office, we're certainly doing our part by holding vacancies, and in fact, we have about a 2-to-1 vacancy hold in administrative positions versus sworn field positions, and that's our commitment to continue. We're also relocating one entire office of HR as well as budget to another place and condensing those down. So we're all having to operate in a new normal, but it's going to take us working together. It's going to take us staying focused on the mission and being there for each other. But I still remain convinced we're going to come out stronger as a result. We'll continue to keep you updated through the budget process. Again, any suggestions, thoughts, comments, feedback, we welcome those. Many of the paths that we've gone down thus far in the budget reductions have been as a result of your input and your ideas and your suggestions. We will never profess to have all the answers. What we will profess is to continue to lead the nation in community supervision and work together to remain being the best. So stay tuned and keep up the good work.
Thank you.